think you had already answered that. I want to ask that. What were you like as a child? And were there any signs that you had ended up in marketing and brand management?
Let me tell you a fun fact. As a child, I wanted to be a doctor. I wanted to be a doctor. In fact, I've forgotten this book I read that time when I was growing up, and I kind of, patterned my life to feel like the characters in that book. I mean, growing up, I was a very, I wouldn't say maybe creative, but I had an active imagination at the basis, and I was an intelligent student. I was not held back in any way, so I was really smart. I think by the time I was in primary one, I could read very well. I remember very well that my teachers would say I should come and read for the class when they are doing a comprehension. So when I read A and CV, they will give me the book and tell me to come to the front of the classroom. So I was that kind of kid, So I've always wanted to be a doctor. Doctor was the thing for me. So naturally, because I wanted to be a doctor, I went to science class.
Wow.
And I think my tendencies as a young guy were miles away from science class, But I think, which is one of the things that affected me also, was the fact that I wanted to, maybe because I was very worried, I wouldn't have seen myself doing, maybe I didn't see myself as being an actor or mass comm. I was like, now serious people they do that kind of work.
It's true.
Once you are a serious student, once you don't have any playful tendency, like you're serious, you're a smart guy, book, that kind of thing that even when you're in primary school, you carry first, second, or third. People always feel like this one is like you're a lawyer or an engineer or
Doctor.
So for me, doctor was the thing. In fact, when I was in secondary school, I loved biology.
Wow.
I loved biology. It was almost as if biology was the only course that I knew when I was in school there. So for me, tendencies have always been drawn around being a medical doctor, as I thought I would. But people always told me then that, man, are you in arts class? You should totally be in arts class. Because I remember then we used to do drama when I was in secondary school then in church. We do drama, I used to coordinate. Even though I was not in drama, but I would just come in where they are doing the drama and give them an idea. I say, how are you guys doing it like this? Why don't you change this one, change it? They'll be like, what? We didn't even think of this thing, no. How come you just came here and you saw this and you thought of it that you should be in art class? I was saying, no. Science class all the way. Until when jammed me. Jammed me, and then I had to now start asking myself, oh, wait a minute. Now that I think back, I realized maybe I would have made better progress in my life if probably I had not, maybe, I don't think it's peer pressure, I think it's community pressure. I think, I don't know, but I think there's such a thing as community pressure, where, there's an expectation, and it's not like as if my parents forced me and said, you must be a doctor, but you just felt like the only honorable and dignifying job you could do if you are not a lawyer or engineer or pilot was to be a doctor. That I'm thinking about this, but that has been it. So after jam me a couple of times, I started rethinking, and then at that time I was like, no, let me just pass through university.
Yeah, just go to school.
We figure it out when I graduate. So while I was in university, that was when I truly realized that I've been wasting my time with this science team.
Right.
Let me just settle it. And thanks to God, and thankfully, again, that's how you just see that sometimes some things are in you, like God has just placed in you, whether you study it in school or not. It's just yours. But I always feel like if I had studied it in school, I probably would have been, miles ahead of where I am currently. So that's my story.